Welcome to the Wellness and Wahala podcast. This is a podcast for wellness and Wahala warriors who are a winner, world changer, wise, and winsome. They are dedicated to tackling Wahala, which means issues and problems in Nigerian pidgin for the good of humanity. Our tribe of subject matter experts in our village are a voice to the voiceless. Like you know, the African proverb, it says it takes a village. So we have a tribe of supporters that we will be interviewing on our show. Oya, join me, the former diplomat and public health advisor, Dr. Tomi Ademokun, better known as Omo Oba, as I give you the best public health and wellness and Wahala gist with wonderful people and guests, my VIPs, using their compassion to take action to put us on a pathway to a Wahala-free life. Bless up.
That showcases Nigeria. I mean, it's not just Igbos. It includes all Nigeria. Because when I go to the event, it's not only Igbos. It's not only Igbos that you meet. You meet all people from all ethnicity. Yeah. Both Igbos.
Yes. And it's a very good event. Of course, Nepa has took his light again. So hopefully he's coming back. I blamed it on Nepa. Go ahead, sir.
Because we're Nigerians, it's the Niger factor.
It's always.
But yeah, so
extremely sorry. This is. Yeah, what I will say is, I said I will give it to you guys. I will give it to the organization. I will give it to your executives. I will give it to your different chapter coordinators and everything. The way that you guys comes together to organize yourself, showcase Nigeria, promote Nigeria, educate Nigeria.
And even have a house in Enugu. It's amazing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like challenging the status quo. You guys came and challenged the status quo and changed the narrative. Something that your parents even could not even achieve. You guys learned from them, took the basics from them, and took it to the highest level. That is really amazing. It's really, really amazing. And I'll give you guys that. So you pretty much have answered my question in terms of capacity and nation building. You know, what you guys are able to do to give back to Nigeria. That pretty much answered my question. So go ahead, Dr. Tommy. I know you can't wait for me to finish. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
No. So you know,
you and EJ are really enjoying yourself.
You know, I've always been an Afro optimist. I mean, even when I was at the University of Illinois, they didn't have an African Student Union. I was a founder of the African Student Union. I'm always somebody like, no, we should have put Nigeria and Africa on the map because we're such a beautiful continent. But you know, I would say, you know, my question is, you know, what's in the plans for the next quarter, you know, that you guys are working on? I love that you have a house established in Enugu. I love that you're, you know, working at the grassroots level, the local level, building people capacity, giving them trainings. Now that we have virtual right now, you know, ASU is on strike. A lot of universities in Nigeria are on strike. But thank God, you know, if they have a handset or, you know, they have access to go into a computer, IT lab, they can do like webinars, trainings, you know, get certified with different skills online to keep them busy. But, you know, what are your plans in the next quarter, especially for the youths? Unemployment rate, you know, the last 2 years of pandemic, it's been a hot mess. You know, being in the field of public health, COVID-19, many people have lost a lot of people. You know, if it hasn't been directly, it has been indirectly. You know, we have monkeypox, you know, even right now in New York has polio outbreak, you know, state of emergency. I tell people, I'm like, this whole world is a mess. So, yeah, it's been challenging. And despite the challenges, that's how I said, you went back in 2020, like, and that was in the beginning of the pandemic. So
before it hit. I remember my mom saying, there's something coming, guys. Make sure you buy some masks. My sister bought some masks. I was like, Mommy, you're always so dramatic. But I bet you on my way back, I was like, hey, sister, can I get a mask?
Yes.
I don't know what's happening. But yeah, that was crazy. But thankfully, we got there safely and came home safely.
Thank God.
So we're really going
Thank
to
God.
our
Thank God.
plan, by God's grace, is to continue doing what we're doing, but in a greater scale, right? So the youth in Nigeria are currently in crime, right? Because they don't have a choice.
They ain't got no job.
They don't have
They're
jobs.
gonna be
They don't
419
have-
Yahoo boys because they gotta feed their family.
They have to feed their family. They have to eat. So out of hunger, and I even heard that somebody has now introduced like drugs. There's a specific drug. I don't remember what it's called.
Drugs,
I
credit
don't
card
know about
fraud.
that.
You know, they take it to a whole
Yeah.
different level.
So it's just a lot is going on. So we're just going to try to touch as many people as we possibly can. So obviously we are constantly having fundraisers to use those funds for that. And then we're planning for the next convention, which will be held first weekend of August next year. Cannot disclose location yet because we have to sign the contract first.
Okay.
Then chapters obviously are doing their, usually around this time they start planning their end of year activities. Like a lot of them do like galas or big celebrations because, you know, they work so hard throughout the year. Yeah, so we're gonna keep busy this next quarter and just hopefully close out the year successfully and start 2023 on a good foot, and hopefully new leadership for Nigeria.
Yes, hopefully new
Yes,
leadership.
Absolutely. We hope so.
I don't want to put all my hope on him, but
political party.
yeah, and I feel like he's well balanced. Like the tribalistic thing is not really there, and as Nigeria, it shouldn't be there.
Yes. It should be the most qualified, regardless of tribe, regardless of religion. Yeah, but unfortunately, you know, that
hasn't been the case.
That has not been the case. But that's why I said the younger population were more influential. It's more of us than
Something that bothers me too is the fact that current leadership, they're so old.
And they the same people. Same recycled.
They've been recycling each other.
Military, how you be a military leader? Then you come back. I'm telling you, I read Nigerian history and I was so shocked.
Exactly.
If you even go to the consulate, you see on the board, Obasanjo, military uniform. And then he's a civilian. He done retire. Then Buhari was a military, and they ain't do nothing when they were military. And then you now coming back like, oh, I'm changed. I'm a civilian. Like, what?
My thing is like it's like, yeah, we were young, right? But we're getting older, and
62
have to transfer leadership down. How do you train the younger people to come and take right positions? Like, you guys can't just stay in power and keep doing what you're doing, because what is that the word if you keep doing
what you're doing and you expect different results? Now, madness.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, madness. And we have to be real. Nigeria, you just said a key thing, which opened my eyes. We're not young anymore, so we can't use that excuse. Yes, we got our independence in 1960. Dubai, and I think another country got it around that time. And look at Dubai, like in 10 years, this is a desert. They're not even as rich in resources like we. And I'm talking about environmental resources, natural resources. I'm not even talking about like the oil and financial resource, but just what? Like, I'm like,
they're looking out for each other.
Let me be incoming. We're talking about countries like Dubai. What about countries like Malaysia that came to Nigeria and took palm oil?
Oh my God.
Palm oil.
And Malaysia got their independence in 1962.
The palm seed. No, they came to Nigeria. Nigeria gave them palm kernel to go and plant. Malaysia took palm kernel, went back to Malaysia. This is what sustained Malaysian economy under Mahathir Mohamad. Malaysia built the economy on the foundation of palm.
His NEPA went out again though. But yeah,
that's good to hear though, because at least Nigeria has helped other countries.
But we've helped other countries, even Ghana. If you remember, my people say Ghana must go. Do you understand? We don't help ourselves. When they have other countries have civil war and everything, we send soldiers. We contribute number one in regards to ECOWAS when it comes to the East Economic West African, Economic Commission of West African States. We actually contribute. Any West African country that's had, turmoil or war or whatever, we actually send them soldiers and we send them financial, resources and food and all.
Like, how are we able to do that when your country's in shambles? Make it make sense.
Exactly. Ooh. And Malaysia and other countries have ripped. That's why, let's just even, we got to talk about current affairs and we're going to keep it real. Okay. The Queen died, okay. It's all good. We are British colonized. We forget the evil regime of the British. Even America was colonized by the British. This lady has diamonds stolen from Africa that's in her crown. The largest diamond that's ever been mined in South Africa. Talking about, it was a gift. It wasn't a gift, chick. Bring the receipt. Like, I don't understand. And there's so much scandals. Like, I already knew. I'm happy Megan turned out. I'm hoping Megan turned out alive, and Harry supported her to run to the U.S. Because if she was still in UK, she probably would have ended up like Diana. Let's not get it twisted. These are the same British people, and that's why I said that no matter how successful we are here, if we do not rebuild our home, it's gonna affect our children, our children's children. God is going to hold us responsible. And I thank God for your examples, Ijeoma. It's a big deal. Because being part of this organization, I just joined NIDO last year, South Savannah, when they launched in October. Their new chapter. And the reason why, and, our president of our chapter, may he rest in peace, President Joseph J.U.I., he passed away. But he had a vision. He was very passionate. He said, look, that NIDO's been around for like 2 decades. All they've been doing is partying. Nothing. We ain't got nothing to show for it. He said, I want to do something different. I want to be able to leave a good legacy. So what you're doing, you have something physical where you can say, let me take my children to see the Enugu house that we built, Like I can take them to the different historical spots. Do you know, my mom used to tell me about the bloody Biafra War. When she used to talk about it, like she'll be in tears, and my grandmother, but I never really saw any visuals. Being a first generational Nigerian American, you all had the blessing of being in Nigeria, at a young age and being raised there before you came here, even if you were born here. But I was born and raised here, and I always used to long for my history, right? Because it's not in our history books over here. What they talk about Africa is a lie. And my mom used to always challenge, like, no, tell them this is wrong when I do my homework and all. So the first time that I actually learned about Biafra, and I saw it visually, so of course I heard the stories, passed down from my grandmother, my mom. But when I went to the CDC, can you imagine CDC Museum? And I tell anybody that if you're in Atlanta, and especially if you, trying to learn about public health and science, but it tells you about just the effects of the influence of Nigeria and public health, like smallpox. We had scientists that helped contribute to the research to help get the smallpox vaccine. I didn't know that until I went to the CDC Museum. They have a whole exhibit on Biafra. Mm-hmm. They called it the Biafra War and Famine. Yes, if you come here, Mr. President, into Atlanta and Ijeoma, anytime that you guys go, let me know, and I can do.
I have known you for some months now, and you didn't tell me this. Were you hiding it from me?
I was actually hiding it from you. Your birthday is this month, and I was gonna surprise you, but since it's here, so I said I was gonna tell you, I just want to pick up something at my office and show you, but it was very emotional. Because I said, why should it take, I never had anything like that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Mm-hmm. And when I saw the pictures live, and what even hurt me the most is so the U.S. government, y'all knew about this and y'all kept silent? Yeah. Just like for apartheid and so many things, you know what I'm saying? They knew. I work with the government, they knew. They always wait until it affects them, or it affects their investments, because they have a lot of investments in Nigeria. So if it's not affecting their investments, they don't care. Just like COVID-19, when it was in China, that's why it's called 2019, COVID-19. It started in 2019. Nobody give a damn. But when Chinese Americans went back home for their Chinese New Year, they came back and started spreading everywhere. That's when we had the lockdown in 2020. But if we actually sent our public health epidemiologists to help them in 2019, it would have never spent. Same thing with Ebola, and same thing with so many other things. Why do we have to keep repeating? I've said that so many times in my work. Like, why do we have to wait till it gets to our doorsteps? Why can't we be our brother's keeper? Public health is global health security. We are all humans. We're all part of the human race. We're all interconnected, especially since we have aviation technology. We can go across the world like that. So a virus, that's how viruses spread, because of travel. And so you cannot tell me that people are not important. So why it brought me to tears is like, so y'all fools, like I always thought like, yo, maybe they didn't know, but they knew, and they got an exhibit. And then what even hurt me the most is that we have so many Nigerian organizations. Nobody has an exhibit here that I can go to and say, oh, I don't really know too much about Nigerian history. Can you tell me? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. Biafra War is part of Nigerian history, but I think that Nigerians outside of the Igbo people tend to dismiss it, right? So, like my parents were children. My dad was in the army, actually, was part of the war. Thankfully, obviously, he survived. My mom was younger. She lost a sister during the war. Like, we never got to meet that sister because of the war. We never got to meet my grandfather on my mom's side due to the war, right? So I don't even think that Nigerians and other tribes understand what Igbo people actually went through. I feel like it's often dismissed. And so if Nigerians as a country doesn't even respect or acknowledge the hurt and pain that Igbo people went through, because some things will transfer, or there are things that our parents just don't talk about, like, we need therapy. Our parents need therapy. Right. That's just not our thing. We pray about it. And
right. They did say move on. Just pray about it and just try to forget. Yeah.
Exactly. And, we constantly thrive. Put us anywhere and we thrive. And I think because of that war, we're able to thrive in any situation. That a lot of our foods even came out of the war because it came from things that they didn't normally have. They had to now put it together. I do want to shout out MSF, Medicine Sans Frontiers.
Yes.
Yeah, my husband actually worked for them before I immigrated him over here. But he worked for them in Nigeria, and they were the ones that actually came to help. They're one of the organizations that came to help during the Biafran War. Oh,
wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So while the British, the colonizers were sending...
And Americans ignored.
And massive ammunition to Nigeria, Medicines Sans Frontiers, they were there helping the sick. There was all, like, measles, everything was going on. Like, they needed help.
And that was the public health part. They needed help.
Public health. So, aside from that, though, I do think that now that folks are proud to be African, because, back in high school, my time, they were usually making fun of Nigeria.
It wasn't cool. They'll call us African booty scratching now, but now we got Afro beats, Burna Boy, Davido. Everybody wants an African. Right.
So, the fact that we have now Africans or African Americans in the diaspora actually want to go home now to find their roots.
Yes. They have DNA now.
From West Africa, they have DNA.
Most of them Nigerians. They are brothers and sisters.
They have brothers. They have cousins. So they're feeling like, because to me, that's a big gap for.
Ooh, Ijeoma, that you in the spirit, because that brings me to my next question. So you're part of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, so I'm going to put you on the spot. My sister actually started bringing a lot of her sorority sisters and best friends. Every time, as you said, December is a good time when most of us go back home. So before the pandemic, she brought a lot of her friends to Nigeria. They also went to Ghana. They also went to Morocco. And after I talked to them, some of them, I mean, they never even been outside the country. You know, the most probably like Cancun or whatever. That's really not count. But like and then when they go, they've never been to like a black nation. So the first thing they said is that I've never been where, number one, we're not a minority. Like white people, like other people, Europeans, and I now told them, I said, you know, we're never the minority. If we look at the entire world population of almost 8 billion people, we're actually the global majority. Igbo people are actually the minority. If you look at just the global population, that just to put it in perspective, I let them know. But they said that, you know, as soon as they landed in the airport, you know, even though hot, you know, no AC, you know, we're not going to talk about the challenges, you know, but they felt the love. Welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. Like they felt it in their spirit, like their ancestors. Because I wanted to, you know, it's different from us being Nigerian or first generation or from the diaspora, but I wanted to hear like their reflection from an African-American view when they went to Ghana too, going to the slave castles and everything. It's a very emotional journey back at home. So I now told her, I said, I did not know. So my last diplomatic post, I was posted to Jamaica. They actually have, I think in the University of West Indies, UWI, they actually have Delta Sigma Theta incorporated there for the Caribbean, a hub. And I'm like, why don't we have that for Nigeria? And that is because the sororities have a very strong network. I think that gap that we're trying to close, if the Divine Nine, and I'm telling you, we got Nigerians that are alphas, kappas, AKAs, you know, I'm going to shout out all of y'all, you know. I wasn't part of anything because, once again, I was a founder of the African Student Union, so I was establishing that there, but I always did co-sponsor all of our events, like, you know, the African Cultural Day Festival and, you know, Taste of Africa. Like, we always co-sponsor and did it with all the that was at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. We always did it with all the sororities and fraternities, you know. So how can, you know, your experience not only with your organization but being part of a very strong sorority and network, how can we be able to bridge that gap between the African American community, who is now very eager? I think we came a long way. Before they're like, that's y'all, we not. But then we actually had a discussion one day about African and African American relations as part of my African Student Union. It was very powerful. And I used to say, y'all used to make fun of me when I was little, you know, and things like that, make fun of my name and all of that. And they now said the reason why is because we're jealous. You guys can carry your flag, you know where you come from. We don't know. Like, and they were like, we want to be able to, you know, carry the flag and go home, you know, like you guys can say, oh, I'm going back home, I know my home. So how can we really embrace them? And just like this Enugu house, like say, okay, just like when you guys are organizing a tour, it shouldn't just be us Nigerians in the diaspora. How can we get African Americans? Yeah,
it's absolutely open to everyone. Just to clarify, it's an Enugu office. It is
okay.
We didn't build it, but we have space.
Okay, they gave you guys a space. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's still good.
Yes.
I just want to clarify.
At least you got space. You got something.
It's still. No, believe me, it's a big deal.
It's a room in the house. It don't matter. Still, you got presence. You got physical presence. Yeah.
Yes, it's a big deal. Absolutely.
So we actually, unfortunately, I lost one of my uncles. It's his house.
Oh, sorry.
He gave us space in his house, so it's been a blessing.
Okay.
Amen. So part of the UI tourism is to attract African Americans in the diaspora to come home. Right now, though, we have to make sure Nigeria is safe.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I want us to go beyond the Lagos or the Abuja where we know it's fairly okay. I want us to actually see the country. There's so much to see, and if we can, I think that if we as organizations can maybe come together and build our tourism industry, that would be ideal, right?
Yes.
Because in each state, in each village, in each city, there's something to see. There's a story to tell. There's so much richness in our country. And one thing I wanted to say is now everybody wants to be African, right? But Africans are so focused on being westernized that they're kind of sort of losing what we have, what we want, what we long for. Like, we're in the States and we want to eat soup. We want to eat all these. They're Nigeria wanting to eat spaghetti and the
right.
fancier foods. I'm like,
oh, I'm going to Chinese restaurant. I said, where's my pounded yam?
Tell me about it.
What?
Like, our foods are so organic and rich and yeah, our food is so good. Like, I want us to go home and experience that. Like, I want to be able to spend summers, especially now that remote work is a thing. I want to be able to take my kids to Nigeria over the summer and they enjoy our country. So I think that a lot can be done, but Nigeria has to let us come and do it.
Yeah, so that's a call out to all of us. Once again, it goes back to policy. Nigeria won't let us do it if we have the wrong leaders there. So if we are able to, for example, get the diaspora voting bill, passed in the near future, hopefully with a new president and a new House of Assembly members, it will be great. A new Congress in Nigeria. I've learned so much from you. I know that we got to round up yes.
I will suggest that Ijeoma should go and sign that petition and as well share it with us.
Yes, yeah. I will send a link to you. And if you can also share, with some of your members and your contacts. But it's very powerful if we come together and have more people to sign. That's one. And two, thank you so much for what you're doing. And, you have great plans for the quarter. We here at NIDO South Savannah, we're here to support you all. If you guys have upcoming events, let us know. We'll be there to represent. You said some great things, as far as like security, some of the things that I think that in the future we can all come together, and try to co-sponsor once our country is very safe. For example, the Essence Festival that is big here, a big, great African-American festival. Yeah. They actually had it in Durban, South Africa 2 years ago, before the pandemic. So if we can get some type of festival like that, like Festac. My mom actually worked. She was one of the chief catering officers for the Festac 77. I still have she showed me her ID when she was cleaning the house. Like, oh my gosh, I found my, so how can we go from that big festival to not having nothing? Our parents really enjoyed Nigeria.
Because it's like the Nigerian leaders are like, how can we make their lives more miserable?
Yeah.
What can we do to make sure?
But enough is enough because.
Well, you know what?
Yes.
Let me be honest with both of you. The reason why we are going through this metamorphosis that we're going through is because our so-called elders never went through hardship.
Yeah.
When they were born,
they had it good.
They had it good. Nigeria was good at that time.
It was.
Nigeria was good. They didn't know what is suffering. So unfortunately, they lacked focus along the way.
And let me tell you, it wasn't just our forefathers that benefited from Nigeria. Do you know a lot of foreigners benefited from Nigeria and a lot of missionaries? And a lot of my cardiologists in the University of Chicago and even at Emory, I had a top professor at the School of Public Health here, and they did exchange programs. The cardiologist that I had actually did his residency in Jos. You say you grew up in Jos, so they had a lot of medical missionaries and people come. He said it was he's actually one of the top cardiologists at the University of Chicago, and another professor, a top global health professor, and they got their training in Nigeria.
That's amazing.
I have a good friend of mine.
I said Nigeria? He said yes, Jos.
Yeah, the president of Calvin University in Michigan. He's a white dude and he was born in Nigeria. He grew up in Jos as well. As a matter of fact, he speaks Hausa. He speaks Hausa.
Wow.
So, he speaks the local language.
So we know it's possible because Nigeria did have a great enabling environment, when I guess we first got our independence and things were going well. But then, it got really, really bad.
To be able to deliver mail to the, your house.
Yes.
Without issues. Regular mail.
Telegrams. Like my mom said.
Basics.
Just basic. They had constant electricity. They had security.
Not anything crazy. Just basic needs.
Basic things, security. My mom said they would sleep in the veranda. In the village they have the foyer in the front, and they'll put the mat because it's hot outside, hot in the house. So they're like, since they have the screen and everything, and they said they put the mat. Nobody thought about like security.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be
I
playing
used to
football,
play
soccer.
outside till the nighttime, and
Yeah.
it was like Ijeoma coming inside. Like it was. I used to actually go across the street because there was a bar, and my dad would be like, "Go buy me a bottle of Star. Go buy a bottle of Star. Come on home." Like it was a safe space, and now you have to be careful everywhere you go.
But we're gonna get better. We got plans. We got plans, and you know, I know with our plans and prayers and it go better. It go better. So thank you. Do you have any last words for us
Very much.
before we close out?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for even inviting me in the first place. Really appreciate the conversation. And we should continue the conversation. So hopefully we'll see you guys at the next convention. I'll share the info with you once we can.
Yes. And I'll leave us with well, we got your back. You know, we're partners and family for life now. You can't get rid of us. So I'll leave you with the African proverb of the week.
I'm really looking forward to working with you and your organization.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yep.
So
do it.
So the African proverb of the week comes from Uganda, and it says the only thing to do with good advice is to pass it on. So you gave us a lot of good advice. So once again, the African proverb quote is from Uganda. It says the only thing to do with good advice is to pass it on. So thank you for all the good advice, for all the good things that you're doing. Big kudos to you. And keep up the good work. Thank you
so much. Thank you. And have a great and wonderful weekend.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.